Today, we're going to be checking out the Moza Mini P handheld gimbal and stabilizer for your iPhone and also for mobile action cameras, micro four thirds and compact cameras weighing up to 900 grams. So this is a versatile gimbal that allows you to connect a number of different types of cameras. In a recent video, I reviewed the Moza Mini MX, which is only designed for iPhones and Android phones. This is a really easy to use gimbal and does a great job. So if you are looking at an option just for your mobile phones, this could be the one for you. And if you want to check that video out, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. But moving back to the Mini P, the reason I wanted to check this one out is the fact that it actually does support all these different devices. So if I feel like using my iPhone, I have that option. If I want to put on my mirrorless micro four thirds here, the Olympus OMD EM10, that's also an option for me. And even the GoPro, which has its own stabilization, but by putting it on the gimbal, it does an even better job. And this is a really good option to get different types of focal lengths and different styles of video, all using the one gimbal. So I think it's a great option. Before we take a look at the test footage, which I shot recently, I thought I'd go through and show you what we get inside the box, and then we'll go on to the actual functions of the gimbal, how it works. We'll take a look at the footage, and then finally, for those of you that decide to purchase or want to know a little bit more about how a gimbal works, I'll actually show you how to calibrate a device on the gimbal. So if you're actually wondering what advantage having a gimbal will have for you in terms of capturing footage, if you have a look at what it's doing right now, it's stabilizing the camera so that as you move around, you get a stable shot, whether you're moving backwards or forwards or left or right, up or down. You'll notice that the aim of the gimbal is utilizing 3 motors to stabilize the camera in that horizontal position at all times. So it really does a great job, especially when you're doing action types of images, walkthroughs. It's a great opportunity to get much more smooth and cinematic footage. So without any further delay, let's take a look at what we get inside the box. Now the box is actually quite interesting. It's made of a kind of almost polystyrene type texture and feel, so it's not quite a hard case, but yet it's really quite durable and a really great way of being able to protect and carry the Moza Mini P with you whilst you're out and about. In terms of what we get inside the box itself, of course, we get an instruction manual, which is really small. So if you are going to use the instruction manual, you're going to need to zoom in with your iPhone in order to read the font. It is absolutely tiny, but that's how it is these days. Otherwise, you can certainly get all the information you need online on YouTube, on this video itself, and many others available on how to set up the tripod and use it. The gimbal itself comes in one solid piece, and I'll show you how to unfold it in just a moment. But before we do, let's have a look at what else we get inside the box. There's an L-shaped bracket with a 1/4 inch screw, allowing you to attach a camera, and there's also a mobile phone grip that you can attach to the L-shaped bracket, of course, allowing you to attach your mobile phones. There's a mini tripod, which you attach to the base of the gimbal, and this allows you to set up and calibrate your devices. And there's 2 cables. One is for charging the device. There's a mini USB to USB-A connection that allows you to plug it into a computer or USB charger. There's another cable here, I think it's a micro USB, which is designed to connect the gimbal to a supported camera so that you can actually maneuver things like the zoom and enable the recording from the joystick and controls on the gimbal itself. So that's a really nice to have feature. You certainly don't need to do it. You can use it without that, but for cameras that support the gimbal, you certainly do have that option. For those of you wondering how to actually operate the gimbal, let's take a look at some of the controls. First of all, in order to turn the gimbal on, tap and hold the red power button on the left-hand side. After balancing the device, it's often good practice to quickly run a calibration over the gimbal, and in order to do that, you can tap on the W button 3 times. There's also an app, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, which can help you with the calibration process. And I'll leave a link to where you can get that along with the Moza Genie app in the description box below. A triple press of the trigger at the front will turn the camera around into selfie view mode. And if you triple press again, it will return back to the forward facing position. Also, a double click of the trigger can be used at any point of motion in the gimbal to return the front-facing camera to the default position. Double press the down button to enter and exit sports mode. Triple press the down button to enter and exit inception mode. Double press the left button to enter and exit FPV mode. Use the joystick at the top to move the camera around, left, right, or up and down. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also use the Moza app in order to control the gimbal, including a joystick-like control, which allows you to move the gimbal head into any position, left, right, up and down. And there's even a mimic motion mode, which actually follows the motion of your iPhone, which is a really novel way of controlling the movement of the gimbal. The app can also be used for many other tasks, including calibration, checking the battery status, and setting up automated camera actions. So when you first take the gimbal out of the box, you'll find that there is at least a 50% charge of battery, so you can start to use it pretty much immediately. I tend to prefer to charge it up before I begin use. The next thing you need to do is actually unfold it and set up your device on the gimbal and calibrate it. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. So in order to unfold it, there is a lever on the side. You need to pull that in, which releases the lock mechanism, and then twist the gimbal up to the upright position. Before we start the calibration process, we need to make sure that the motors are unlocked. There's a red unlock switch in front here, and there's also another one on the side of the gimbal arm here. Make sure that's also in the unlock position. And before we start the whole calibration process, just screw on the provided tripod onto the base of the gimbal, extend the tripod legs, and then you'll see that it will look something like this. So once you're in this position, we're ready for the next step, and that is to mount the device onto the gimbal. Now I'm going to show you how to do it on my iPhone, but you can use any camera up to 900 grams, such as this OMD or the GoPro. So the choice is yours as to which camera you want to mount, but make sure it doesn't exceed that 900 gram quota. Now, when it comes to setting up your device, the first thing to do is actually to put it onto the cradle. The cradle comes inside the box, and it's very easy to mount a camera directly to it. If you are using an iPhone, there's an additional attachment that allows you to mount the iPhone and secure it into the cradle. So there's 2 attachments that you need to put into place first to mount your iPhone. So once you've actually done that, you can then slot that in at the top. And the aim, first of all, is to achieve a vertical balance, and then we'll move on to a horizontal balance. So to get the balance aligned vertically, we need to adjust the top lever. So we untwist it, and then we can push the whole side arm here, left and right, until it stays into position vertically. So of course you have to have the gimbal mounted onto a flat surface in order to test this. And as you go forwards and backwards, you'll see the iPhone eventually come into alignment and rest in place in a vertical position. The next thing we need to do is to flip the iPhone so that it has the face up. And then we need to use the dial at the top. We need to push the bracket forwards and backwards until the iPhone rests perfectly in the horizontal position face up. That means we have a balance when the gimbal is both vertical and horizontal. Now we're ready to calibrate the roll axis, which is the one directly in front of the controls of the gimbal. And we just need to move that left and right until it aligns perfectly in the middle. And then finally, we're going to move on to the pan axis, which is the bottom lever, and we just need to move that backwards and forwards until your smartphone or camera is perfectly centered. So once you've done that, you're ready to use the gimbal. In order to finalize the calibration, turn the gimbal on by pressing on the red button on the left-hand side, and then tap on the lower telephoto and wide angle zoom option on the right of the gimbal. Tap on the wide button 3 times very quickly, and that will start the process of calibrating the gimbal. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this demonstration of the Moza Mini P. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments box below. If you enjoyed the video, hit me up with a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do want more information on the product, head over to the Moza website and I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. Bye for now.